Hello, welcome back to Animated Literacy. This is lesson number 84 from the Story Song and Action book. In our last lesson, we learned about joy, and so we're going to do a bit of review of joy's sound, and then we will be introducing the story of the white whistling whale. So let's talk just a little bit about Joy again. And if you remember from our last lesson, Joy was a little girl whose favorite story was the story of the Wizard of Oz, and there's many different versions of that story. This is a golden book that you can purchase at a very low cost if that's one of your favorite stories. So in her story, Joy's favorite character from the Wizard of Oz was the Tin Man. So she had a toy Tin Man, and just like in the story, his joints got rusty and squeaky, and so when she tried to move them, they were hard to move, and they went squeak, squawk, squeak, squawk. So Joy had to oil the toy Tin Man's joints. So you see here, she is in her picture with her oil can. And here's an old-fashioned oil can. And to make the oil can squirt out the oil to stop the squeaks, she has to take her thumbs, hold the oil can like this so the spout is pointing to the joints on the toy, move her thumbs up and down and go, oi, oi, like in oil. Now, if we take and we put that into some of our foods, if we put Joy's sound into a taco, taco with two syllables, what's it going to be? Toy, koi. Say that. Toy, koi. And if we put it into a potato with potato, three syllables, what's the potato going to be? Poi, toy, toy. Say that. Poi, toy, toy. And then if we take our taco and our potato and we put it into apples and bananas, how's the verse going to sound? Joy likes to oit, 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 toy koys and poi toy toys again. Joy likes to oit, 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 toy koys and poi toy toys. Let's try that with some of our other sounds. If we use whirling Irving, and here he is turning the wheel on his scooter and going as it's going around the corner, what's it going to sound like? Per-tur-turs. And if we put it in apples and bananas, Irving likes to ert, turkers and per-tur-turs. Irving likes to ert, turkers and per-tur-turs. Now let's just say the names of the foods for the others, and then you can go back and make up your own verses. Here's Owl bumping his head and going, ow. Owl likes to out, tow cows and pow tow tows. Owl likes to out, tow cows and pow tow tows. How about Arnie hanging from the high bar? Arnie likes to art, tar cars and par-tar tars. Arnie likes to art, tar cars and par-tar tars. What would Edgar do? Tekkas and patatas. You say that. Tekkas and patatas. And what would Lulu be? Tukus and poo-too-toos. Tukus and poo-too-toos. What would they be for Abe skating to the bay? Takes and pay-tay-tays. And what would they be for Orty? Torkors and por-tor-tors. And for Ike, ride your bike to the sky. Tai-kais and pai-tai-tais. What would they be for Old Joe Crow rowing his boat? Tokos and poto-toes. Tokos and poto-toes. And for Uncle Upton up in his umbrella tree? Tuckas and patatas. Well, let's see if we can do some of those with our flashcards. So now what's happening? The character is getting smaller because it's going to go away when we're reading in our books. And here's one of Joy's ways to spell her sound with O-I. So what is it going to be? Toy koys and poi toy toys. And here's ordiorson, or torcorzan portor, tors. And here's another way to spell joy's sound with O-Y, toikoizan poitoi, toys. Toikoizan poitoi, toys. Here's ollie ostrich, takazan pata, tas. Takazan pata, tas. Now when you get really good with the flashcards, what do you work on next? Trying to do the same thing, but with no characters, pictures at all. So just with the letters and letter patterns. So here's one of Joy's letter patterns. So when I show you O-I, what do? Toikoizan poitoi, toys. Here's her other way to spell her sound with an O and a Y. Toikoizan poitoi, toys. Takazan pata, tas for Ollie. And here's old Joe Crow, O blank E, tokozan poto, toes. And here's Irving turning, turkers and ters. So you can practice those with your letter cards, with your flashcards, with your picture cards, and get really fast at being able to substitute and play with all of those sounds. So in our last lesson, we did some practice with drawing and labeling for Joy's toy. And so just like I've done before, I went back and practiced drawing again, and each time I draw it gets a little bit better. Plus when I'm drawing here, I'm looking at what I'm drawing. Where when I'm drawing with you, I'm drawing here, and it's a little bit harder. So here I drew a picture of a boy with a toy to practice her sound, and I wrote, "This happy boy smiles." Then I drew a picture of our Tin Man down here, and I wrote the elbow joint. So this is a joint on your elbow that has always the oi sound. The elbow joint squeaks. Then I drew a picture of an oil can up here, and I wrote, "This oil can leaks." And here's the oil leaking out of the can. Then I drew a picture of a star, and the star has what that has Joy's sound in it? The star has 5 points. So I put, "This bright star has 5 points." Then I drew a picture of a couple coils over here. Now you can draw those coils real easy on your own. We didn't draw them last time. But all you have to do to practice drawing a coil is just take your page and start like this, come around, then come back inside, come around again, and around again, and around again, and around again, and then what have you drawn a picture of? A coil. So that's a fun one for you to practice. And here, we didn't do this one either, but in the Draw to Read and Write book, there's a picture of a snake, and this snake is coiled. And that's what makes a snake able to move fast, is if it's all coiled up like this, just like a spring, it can go boing and it can jump out. And so we talked about our coil spring here, and that's just like the snake. He's coiled up like this, and all of a sudden he can just go zoom, like that. So those were some fun drawings that we did. Then we rewrote the wheels of the bus from our drawing and added some pictures up here to go with that. So our version of the wheels of the bus went like this. So if you have your paper with you, you can put your finger up in the air and then place it on your page and sing it with me. So we have the joints on the toy, the joints on the toy, go squeak, 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 squeak. The joints on the toy go squeak, 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 all around the house. Then we wrote another verse down here. The oil in the can goes squirt, 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 squirt. The oil in the can goes squirt, 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 on stops all the squeaks. So now you could use this again for a hide and seek. Can you find the word in? Well, here's the word in. What are the sounds in in? In. And what are the letters to spell in? I-N. Find the word can. Oh, here's the word can. What are the sounds in can? K, an. And what are the letters in can? C-A-N. So you can practice some of the words from your song. Now today we're going to be learning about a little girl, and this little girl's name is Whimsy. And the reason they call her Whimsy is because she is very whimsical. So we're going to learn a big word there. And to be whimsical just means that you're really playful and you have a big imagination and you are always playing and enjoying things. Now what Whimsy likes to play with are another big word. Say this one after me. Whirligigs. Say whirligigs. Just like whirling Irving, a whirligig is something that spins around and around and around in circles. And so Whimsy has a collection of whirligigs that she likes to play with. One of her whirligigs is a hat, and it has a whirligig on top of the hat. So when she's walking down the street and the wind's blowing, the whirligig goes round and round and round on top of her head. So that's kind of a fun one. A top is another kind of whirligig because it spins. And so she has a whole collection of tops that she likes to go into her bedroom and practice spinning. And so they look like this as they're spinning all around in her bedroom. Her favorite whirligig is a whirligig that is up on White Whale Wharf. And this is a picture of a wharf. And a wharf is like a bridge that goes out over the water, but it doesn't, it just kind of stops right there in the water. And the reason she likes that bridge so much is because up on top of the wharf is a merry-go-round. And so she can buy a ticket for the merry-go-round, get up on the horse, and the merry-go-round goes round and round and round as the horses are going up and down and up and down. So some fun books that you can read that kind of go along with that story is, here's a story about a merry-go-round, and this is by John Archambault and Bill Martin Jr., and it's called Up and Down on the Merry-Go-Round. So you could read that one. This one's a Skybrary book about whirling, and this little girl is whirling her globe round and round and round. Now another reason that she likes to go to White Whale Wharf is because there's a whale. And here's my toy whale. There's a white whale that likes to play under White Whale Wharf. And just like Whimsy, it likes going round and round in circles. And down under the wharf, there are whirlpools. And whirlpools are like when you've finished with your bath and you pull the plug out of the drain, as the water's finishing going down the drain, it goes round and round and round and round and round, and it makes a whirlpool. And so here's a book about a whale that you might like that is from Raffi, and this is a song that he wrote called Baby Beluga, and then he put it into a book. So that's another fun one. And also, she likes whistles because that begins like whirligigs and whimsical. And here's a book from Skybrary that you might read about going down under the water, and one of the first things that this person meets as she's riding an octopus under the water is a whale that whistles. And in our story, we're going to have a whistling whale. So in our story, Whimsy goes out on White Whale Wharf. She rides up here on her merry-go-round, and she watches the whale underneath. And sometimes the whale gets into a whirlpool and goes round and round and round in circles, because this whale has learned that if it performs tricks that people like to watch, they might throw food down into the water. So Whimsy's sure to always take something with her to feed the whale. But after a while, sometimes people get bored with the whale just doing one trick of going round and round. And so the whale began to try to figure out what else it could do to get people to pay attention and give it more food. Well, one day the whale noticed that a wheelbarrow had rolled down into the whirlpool. And the wheelbarrow was going round and round and round just like the whale did. So the whale climbed into the wheelbarrow and it started going round and round, and then it tipped forward, and now the wheelbarrow was up on one wheel doing wheelies and going round and round and round in circles. And everybody up on the wharf was so excited that they began blowing their whistles to get the whale's attention so that they could feed it the food that they brought. So after a while, then they got really excited, and Whimsy accidentally dropped her whistle down into the water. Well, when the whale saw the whistle, it picked up the whistle. The whale put the whistle in its mouth, and now the whale was going round and round and round in circles and blowing on the whistle. So you can imagine, people were excited, and they were giving the whale lots and lots of food. And here's the whale just before it got the whistle, and here's the whale, white whale, when it's got its whistle, and you can see people throwing food down to the whale, and it's just having a great time down there. So whenever we think of Whimsy and her white whale, we think of how you whistle. So you pretend to take a whistle and bring it up to your mouth like this. Now when you make the WH sound, it's almost like W, so you really don't have to change the way you make it, but you can make it a little bit different. If you make the real whale sound, you kind of like blow out candles or blow into a whistle and go like that. Then after you've gone, you add the winky walrus's sound and go wha, wha. But some people don't use that sound. Some people say whistle, and you can hear me blowing there, whistle. But some people don't blow, they just go whistle. So it really doesn't matter whether you make that sound just like Winky Walrus or you make it like the whistling whale. It's a wha sound. So now let's see if that sound is a vowel or a consonant. So warm up your muscles and let's put it into Are You Sleeping? Ready? Are you whistling? Are you whistling? White whale whistler, white whale whistler. The whistling whales are saying, the whistling bells are saying, wing, wong, wing, wong, wing. So is that a vowel or a consonant? Consonant. How did you know that? Because we had to put ings and ongs with our sound. So now let's learn the white whale's song. So warm up your muscles with me and make these motions and say these words after me. Ready? The white whale whistles to her friends. The white whale whistles to her friends while she rides. So hold on to the sides of a wheelbarrow. While she rides a wheelbarrow. So there's our wheelbarrow. While she rides a wheelbarrow. Now show me the whirling whirlpool. In the whirling whirlpool. In the whirling whirlpool. Now show me the whale whistling. The whistling whale does wheelies. So you take the wheelbarrow and pull it up into a wheelie like this. The whistling whale does wheelies. Now remember how we spell that sound. So the white whale spells her sound with a W and an H. So how can we make those? Here's our W. You can just put 3 fingers up. And then here's our H. You can put 2 fingers down. Get my fingers to cooperate. Put 2 fingers down and cross them here. So here we go. Like this and cross it. So W, H, W, H, W, H. Okay, now sing this after me. Whales for W, H. Whales for W, H. Whistle, W, H. Whistle, W, H. Wheelies, W, H. The whistling whale does wheelies. The whistling whale does wheelies. Okay, can you do that with me? Ready? The white whale whistles to her friends. The white whale whistles to her friends while she rides a wheelbarrow. While she rides a wheelbarrow in the whirling whirlpool. In the whirling whirlpool, the whistling whale does wheelies. The whistling whale does wheelies. Whales for W-H. Whales for W-H. Whistle. W-H. Whistle. W-H. Wheelies. W-H. The whistling whale does wheelies. Okay, let's now come over and try that with our book. So let me get the White Whales song here. And I'll point to the words and see if you can sing along and do the motions. Ready?
The white whale whistles to her friends while she rides a wheelbarrow in the whirling whirlpool. The whistling whale does wheelies. Whales for W-H. Whistle. W-H. Wheelies. W-H, the whistling whale does wheelies.
Okay, so now when you get your picture, get that to stop. Now when you get your picture of the white whale, here's the picture of the white whistling whale. You can see she's got a whistle in her mouth, and she's in the wheelbarrow, and here's the whirlpool going round and round, so you can rainbow write over her sound. And then turn your page over on the back and think of some things in your life that you can draw pictures and write about. So the Whimsy loved things that spin. What kinds of things can you find that go in circles? The wheels on the bus go in a circle, and Whirling Irving went in a circle. Or are there other kinds of toys that are your favorites? So just like we've done before, you can write about some of your favorite toys. The Whimsy likes going to White Whale Wharf where she can ride on a merry-go-round. Have you ever ridden on a merry-go-round? Or is there any other kind of a ride that you have taken that goes around in circles? The white whale was often fed food by people who came. Is there any place that you can go that you can feed the animals? Now we have to be careful about feeding animals, because if they're wild animals, they're usually much better off if they find their own food. But if they're domestic animals that we keep in cages or as pets, then you have to feed them. So what is an animal that you have fed? So you can draw a picture of any of those topics, or write about a different topic you can think of that goes along with this story, and then either do your own writing or wait for your teacher or your parent to come and help you with the writing, and then you can rainbow over the top. So I hope you enjoyed our story about Whimsy and the white whistling whale. And in our next story, we're going to practice drawing some things that have the WH sound. So I hope to see you then.